Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron saying here, and today I'm bringing you another VGC 2014 battle with the team that I used at the World Championships. This one's really exciting. It's actually against Markus Stadter, also known as Yoshi, the guy who won Germany Nationals undefeated this year with a 16-0 record. He also finished 4-2 at Worlds. He's a good friend of mine, and it was really awesome to battle him. This was actually on live stream at twitch.tv/kickataz in the description below. I am getting back into streaming, so if you don't follow me on Twitch already, definitely do that because I plan on streaming pretty much every day this week. I'm actually currently taking viewer challenges. There's a huge list of people who've already signed up, but if you want to get a battle with me in eventually, definitely check that out. But I'll be posting a more consistent schedule when I figure that out, but for now just follow me on Twitch or Facebook or Twitter and all those places to know when I go live, because I do plan on doing a lot more streaming in the upcoming weeks before everything gets really hectic. But yeah, let's get into this battle. So Markus used the same team that he's been using pretty much the entire season: Rotom Wash, Malwayo, Garchomp, Gengar. Of course, he basically popularized Gengar after his amazing run at Germany. He also had Kangaskhan and Salamence as his last two, but I had a feeling he would not bring Kangaskhan since, of course, my team countered Kangaskhan pretty hard. Of course, I had Ferrothorn, Salamence, Kangaskhan, Rotom Heat. My two that I did not bring were Hariyama and Gatatel. So without further ado, let's get into this matchup. So, on paper, the matchup looked pretty good for me because Salamence, one, can intimidate all his stuff. I can one-hit KO the Malwayo with Fire Blast. I've got Rotom Heat as well. And I knew that I want to basically beat the Malwayo as soon as possible, so Kangaskhan could do well. So he leads with Gengar and Garchomp against my Salamence and Ferrothorn, and I know Ferrothorn has a field day against his team as long as A, it does not get burned, and B, he doesn't bring the Salamence against it because Salamence, of course, has the Fire type attack. On this first turn, I'm expecting a double target onto the Garchomp, so I actually switch out into the Rotom Heat, because I know that Rotom Heat has a pretty good matchup against everything, and it can take the attacks from Gengar and Garchomp, but he actually switches into Malwayo, so after I saw that, I was really happy. I was more surprised to not see the double target there, especially since his Garchomp actually had Life Orb, which he revealed later on. So this first turn actually plays out pretty perfectly for me. I get a ton of damage off onto the Gengar, and I bring in Rotom Heat, which obviously has an incredible matchup against that Malwayo. This following turn, I kind of go for a risky play. I don't protect with the Rotom Heat. Instead, I actually Thunderbolt. I was actually anticipating Malwayo to switch back into the Garchomp, which is why I Gyro Balled it with the Ferrothorn. Instead, he just stays in and gets the Shadow Ball off onto the Ferrothorn. Gyro Ball is just going to go into that Protect. So, not the best of turns there, but also not the worst. So obviously I'm up 4-3 now, and I've got a Ferrothorn, and neither of his Pokemon fare too well against it, so I'm feeling really good. This turn I predict the Malwayo to switch out into the Salamence, but he reveals that he actually does not carry Salamence, and he shows that he has a substitute on that Garchomp, which I was not expecting, since the entire time he's been running the Lumberry Rock Slide, kind of typical, Garchomp. I do go for the Thunderbolt onto his Rotom, getting a crit along the way, but he's got that Citrus Berry, so it only does effectively 30%. Ferrothorn, since I did predict the Salamence to switch in, gets that Gyro Ball off, but that's obviously going to do nothing against a Rotom Wash. So if that was a Salamence in there, I would have been really good, but now I'm kind of in some trouble. His following turn, he protects with the Rotom Wash, and goes for the Earthquake with the Garchomp. At this point, I think I'm still in a pretty good position, because Ferrothorn is relatively bulky, and I say to myself, okay, I should be able to take an Earthquake. But you see there, it does a lot more than I expected to, and you see it's because the Garchomp actually carries a Life Orb. I do just Thunderbolt into that Protect and get the Gyro Ball off onto Garchomp. I was anticipating a Protect coming out of that Rotom Wash, which is why I went just for the Thunderbolt there. I didn't want to say Overheat and get to -2 with the Rotom. I know Rotom's really big. I need to conserve it to beat the Malwayo in the end, so I bring in Salamence, especially since now I actually broke the substitute. I can get the Intimidate off onto Garchomp and bring it down to -1. Here I'm not sure whether he goes for a substitute or not, so I actually just went for the Gyro Ball into Garchomp. Instead, he does go for just the Earthquake. I didn't want to protect there with Ferrothorn and allow the Garchomp to get a free substitute off, but Markus makes an excellent play there, showing why he's, Germany national champion, and takes out the Ferrothorn there in a hit. Rotom Wash is able to get a Hydro Pump off. Normally I would not be too scared about this, but it actually does enough that I think Dragon Claw, even at -1, because of Life Orb, can actually pick up the KO. However, I still have my full HP Kangaskhan in the back, so now I'm in a decent position, but of course with Malwayo in the back, it's always scary, especially when you have a Dragon type user, Choice Dragon user, because you're going to probably lock yourself into one of two attacks. I don't want to go for any ballsy predictions, so I don't go for the fire type attack. I did just go for Dragon Pulse, I believe. He goes for a double protect, which is a really smart play on his end, just to see what both my Pokemon do. You know, I probably could have power up punched my own Salamence in anticipation of that, but I really wasn't expecting the double protect there. However, because he goes for it, it's a really good play on his end. Here I anticipate the Garchomp actually switching out into Mawile. Instead, he switches out Rotom Wash, and that was a really good play on his end. If I actually just targeted the Garchomp slot here, I most likely would have just had the game won, but instead, because I thought the Garchomp was the one switching out, I'm in a really, tricky position now. He gets the -1 Dragon Claw into Rotom Heat, but because of the Life Orb, it still does so much damage. I am able to get a double edge off, but of course at -1 and Mawile resists normal type attacks. Those are only around 40%. So the entire game has been pretty close up to this point, and it actually all comes down to this turn. So the Garchomp can make two plays here. Two plays, basically. You can either protect or Dragon Claw the Rotom Heat. However, Markus probably expects me to protect with Rotom Heat, anticipating the Dragon Claw, and probably expects me to just double edge into that Garchomp. So instead, I actually just double edged and overheated with Rotom, and the prediction goes my way. Had it gone the other way, for example, had he just Dragon Clawed my Rotom Heat and played rough, I would have been in a considerably worse position. Probably would have been game over, actually, since he most likely would have been able to get the knockout onto Mawile. So it was really one of those 50-50 turns, but I was really anticipating the protect coming out of Garchomp, and I called it correctly. So fortunately enough, that turn went my way. But, if he just predicted the other way around, it could have gone completely differently. So I got pretty fortunate there. And now that I take care of the Mawile, I know the game is basically over since I've got a Kangaskhan, which is just going to easily knock out this Garchomp. And I have Salamence in the back as well. Of course, I just targeted the Garchomp slot because he protected the previous turn. And I know that my Salamence can take care of this Rotom Wash. So Kangaskhan's going to take that recoil and damage and stuff, but at this point, really not going to matter. Rotom Wash getting that last attempt Will-O-Wisp off against it, but Kangaskhan doesn't really mind it. And Spec Salamence has a field day against Rotom Wash. So, a really close game. It basically all came down to the turn whether Mawile attacked/protected and whether Garchomp attacked. And, it just went my way, but it was a really close game, and I thought Yoshi handled it really well after how good the first two turns played out. So, he played really well, especially with that Garchomp, and Substitute Life Orb is really interesting. Seniors World Champion Nikolai actually used it, and it was a really cool set. Most Garchomps either tend to go Lumberry or Bulky with Substitute, but Life Orb with Substitute and Dragon Claw and Earthquake is surprisingly effective as well, especially since it blocks out Intimidates. So yeah, that's just, another battle that features how my team works. Of course, it was exciting to battle someone who actually went to Worlds as well. Of course, Yoshi brought this team to Worlds, so that was really exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. Of course, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Peace.